Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom, and welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Boss Shot Shells. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world-famous Andy Shaver.
That's right. I can't whistle right now, but that is right.
Why can't you whistle?
Ain't working.
With us today from you're at the Grand right now, Arliss?
Yes, sir.
The man
Yes, sir.
doing all the work. I notice he is on a tractor and he's doing dirt work. And I noticed
mowing,
and in the background, I don't see Tony Vandemore anywhere. So does Tony do any of the labor, or are you going to take up for your boss? Or are you going to tell it the truth?
No, I got to take up for him. Tony's, he's, if there's something to be done, Tony will do it. Now, granted, some things he doesn't like doing anymore, which that's all right. I guess there's probably some things you don't like doing anymore.
No, that's
Tony,
not true. I even guided a teal hunt this weekend.
Guided a teal hunt.
I did. I put the birds on them.
Did your waders even get wet?
No.
Okay.
Arliss,
Tony guided a teal hunt this morning, and I'm sure he'll be doing something this afternoon. Who knows? There's lots of stuff to be done this time.
Have you wore shin gear waders yet? Let me tell you something, son. They are a playground for a fat man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I have never been so comfortable in my life when waders.
Tony gave me like 4 pairs of waders, and he had, older ones. These might leak, these might not. I don't know. You can have them. So the first time in my life, I'm wearing normal human waders. I'm no longer wearing fat man waders.
Well, these
small boots with the parachute up top. You're not in that anymore.
Mine are.
Yeah, no. I used to be in a 14 stout, not because my feet were that big, because my belly was that big, and now I can wear about a 12 regular.
Mine are real roomy up top. I had lots of extra room I did not need up top. It wasn't one of them things where you zip yourself in and you're like, and it just kind of holds you in. But it's still the most comfortable waders I have ever had in my entire life. The most comfortable thing is the boot. It feels like
Well, you think my buddy RT at Rolling Thunder and Shem would get me a pair, but
they are the best waders. Highly recommend for comfort. Andy Warm, I'm telling you right now, I could wear them things just out on a duck hunt in a cold day and would be comfortable in the field with them. They're that nice.
They're very nice. Very, very nice. I mean, you can haul the boots phenomenal. The upper, it's all good stuff.
So is that Cooper's blind right here where you're at? Because we're looking at you in the woods right now.
So this hole right here is one of the timber holes we have down here at the Grand. This one's called High Cotton because, well, if you look, there's a big dead cottonwood tree right there. And you like that old song goes, good times here not forgotten. But Coop's blind is right over there. He's in Canada right now, so keeping this thing ready to go. I actually planted some clover in here to keep the horse weeds and all that stuff out and give the deer something to chew on. And we'll flood this last week in October, get it ready for Coop. The Missouri River is right here behind me. And then just over this levee over here in front of me is some of our flooded ag stuff. So it's kind of a little bit of a corridor between the Missouri River and some of our stuff. And Grand Pass is just over to the west, about a mile from where I'm sitting right now. So this is just one of those traffic timber hole spots.
Now, will you have to mow that one more time before you flood it, or will it be pretty close?
I mowed it pretty short, and we haven't had rain. I think it stopped raining here in like April.
Right.
So I don't know that it's ever going to rain again. So I shouldn't have to mow this again.
How long will it take
if I have to,
when you turn the water on? How long does it take how many days of pumping do you have to do?
This one here, it's a little sandy because it's along the river and it's got a 2-inch well. It'll probably take, it'd be huntable in a day, but 3 days to get it full to the bank full. And then we'll keep pumping it pretty much throughout the season. You can shut it off. He'll shut the pump off while he hunts and then kick it back on overnight just to keep up with seep and all that.
Now, does Cooper, does he do anything with the blinds, or is that done when he's already left for Canada?
we'll have the blinds brushed and all that stuff while those guys are up north. There's a crew of us that'll stay here in Missouri, and we'll do teal season, and then we'll work on, we have, I don't know, 30 stand-up blinds to brush and 40 some pits between the two places. And by the time they get back from Canada, that's all done. But there'll be plenty of stuff to do when they get back, getting decoys out, and they all go to their spots, because kind of anymore, we kind of have our own places that, you send a guy somewhere. That way there's no surprises when you get there in the morning. It's your electronics are all, mojos, whatever. That's all on you. Your blind's brushed. It's cleaned out. You can't get to another spot and blame somebody else if the mojos are dead or there's the blind needs brushed again. It's kind of your responsibility when it's your spot.
Now, does everything stay in the blind as far as what you're going to need on a day-to-day, like decoys, spinners, all that stuff?
It depends. This spot here, there'll be, last year on the podcast, we talked about one of those Mojo Boss things there, that switchboard deal. This blind will have a boss in it probably. Last year we ran a permanent spread in here. I don't think we're going to do that again this year. We'll just set them and pull them every day. But the decoys will stay right here. They'll just go in a sled. And, the motion, Cooper will set a jerk cord that'll probably stay here. And he'll take his Lucky Duck splashers and all that stuff back in with him at the end of the day. But for the most part, we pick everything up, but some stuff will stay here.
How many decoys are we talking about here? We talking 3 dozen, 6 dozen?
This one, he'll probably run 7 or 8 dozen floaters. Last year we put 20 dozen in here and left it as a permanent spread to see if it would make that much of a difference. And I don't know that it made a whole lot of difference. I mean, it makes it easier for Coop. I'll kind of let him make that decision if he wants to run a permanent spread or if he wants to pick and pull every day.
Do you have to worry about, because I've always heard that if water freezes around your decoys, it could crack it. Do you pull it if you're going to have a permanent spread? Is that a problem? Or when you kick the pump back on, does that keep water from freezing?
So these holes in here with the well pumping 58-degree water into it, it really won't freeze much. And we also, the permanent spreads will set foam-filled decoys. So
you don't have to worry about
really, it doesn't matter. I mean, if it gets real cold, they'll get ice around them. They'll like rim around the decoys, and that's a pain in the butt. But for the most part, this is such a small hole. It's not right. a quarter of an acre. It's small, so that well keeps it pretty much open. And we'll throw a couple ice eaters in here when it gets real cold. But that's when it gets good, is when it gets real cold, and the Missouri River, like I said, is like right there, right over my shoulder. And when that fills up with ducks, these spots get real good.
How dry are y'all right now? We have hold on a minute. We have an echo.
I don't know which way we do that.
Do you hear it though? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, Arliss. How dry are y'all right now?
Very. It's rained. It rained a half an inch. We'll put it this way. I put out some radish seeds in one of our deer plots last week before a half-inch rain, and it was so dry I didn't germinate the seed. It's just as dry as can be. It rained a half inch that day. It rained a half inch like August 18th, and then I think the last measurable rain before that was sometime in July. We haven't had hardly. And now recently, the last few nights, it's rained all around us, north of us, south of us. I think Iowa got 6 inches of rain in places. Just the other night, last night we could see thunder or see lightning to the north and to the south, but for some reason, this area of Missouri's just been getting parted.
I know how that feels.
For rain. Yeah, you guys know West Texas is pretty dry.
Very dry.
The drought this year is going to be a big player with the migration of waterfowl this year. Really big, because it's going to be interesting to see if we don't get some rain where those birds in Nebraska and western Kansas are going to go.
Absolutely. And I guess, Tony went out to Colorado to visit some family in I want to say it was August, and he said the corn out there was 2 feet tall and tasseled, and they were harvesting it for silage in Kansas in August, and it was 2 feet tall. But they were just making the best of it.
Yeah, Blake, that he's in western Nebraska, and they've already their corn harvest is done. They've finished what they're going to finish, and there's going to be a big hole where there used to be a lot of food in the central of the country, and it's going to be interesting to see if the birds push further west into Colorado, New Mexico, or if maybe Texas picks up a big swath of birds that we've been missing the last couple of years. It's going to be, And and then it goes back to: are we going to have any winter, or is it going to be mild and dry like the last 3 or 4 have been? So this is going to be an interesting year, though.
If you're a Farmer's Almanac person, which I personally am not,
I'm not.
they are saying that it's going to be a bad winter.
Them fuckers are never right.
I'm not.
No.
I don't believe. I mean, I don't know how they come up with these predictions. I think if it's all on a calendar, and every 4th year we got to say it's going to be a bad winter. I don't know, but I'm. Jeff's dad was a big Farmer's Almanac guy, so like it was gospel. If it was, by God, if the Farmer's Almanac said it, it was going to happen. But I think they use a lot of witchcraft to come up with their
witchcraft
forecast.
So I don't know if do you guys have wool down there? Do you know what those are?
Have what?
Woolly bears are like little caterpillars that are orange and black or whatever.
No, but I've seen them before.
So up here, there's this in the northern part of the country. There's a saying like, if the woolly bears are black, the winter is going to be bad. If they're instead of half orange, half black, all the woolly bears that I've seen have been black.
Oh.
So I don't know. I think last year when we talked, there was some Facebook page that Jeff was following that said we were going to have a snow line from Nebraska to Michigan by Thanksgiving. And
yeah, they were off.
Whoever
a
that
bit.
dude is, Jeff, delete him from Facebook.
Yeah, he's not one of my friends no more.
That couldn't have been further from the truth. Now, we did get some cold weather in January last year. Like, the second half of our duck season was very, very, very good last year. We got cold. We didn't get any snow, but we got enough cold that it made the ducks do what they're supposed to do and, fly during the day and, get on the river and all that stuff. But we didn't have any measurable snow, really. I don't know that we had any at all last year, if I can remember. Right? Maybe a little bit in February, but
I'm trying to remember if we had did we have any snow last year during hunting season?
It snowed during Christmas.
It wasn't much.
I think during Christmas break we got a little bit of snow. You asked me a question. You didn't ask me if we had a foot. It snowed twice during waterfowl season.
Did we get more than a dusting?
Yes, 2 times we did, but I don't think we got more than like 2 or 3 inches. But it was gone. I think it was 96 the next day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The coldest weather we had last year was when we went to Mexico. So that'd been in February.
That's 2 years in a row now.
I know we got some cold in February, but like the year before in February, we got some cold enough that we could ice fish in Missouri. And last year, it never really got that cold.
Right.
And of course, that cold came well after duck season the year before.
Hey, I got to ask you, because all of your teal hunting videos, the sun is up pretty high. What time do you quit your teal hunt there?
So we can't start until sunrise.
Oh.
In Missouri. We can't shoot them a half an hour before sunrise because they don't want to shoot wood ducks and whatever else is flying around. But we generally hunt from, we'll get in there, be ready to shoot by sunrise. And I like to give it till at least 10 o'clock. Usually 10:30 we're done. But we don't hunt in the afternoon generally. There's
got to be a lot of sitting around. Because I know here you can shoot 30 minutes before, and that's where 92% of your action is going to come. It's going to be in that little 30 minutes before and then just a couple minutes after. But like our teal, once you bang on them and the sun gets up fairly high, you pack it up, it's over with.
So I have this theory on teal hunting where if you feel like you need to wear a sweatshirt when you walk out of the house in the morning, it's going to be good. If you can walk out in a t-shirt, it's going to be a little slow.
Yeah.
And today's high is forecasted for 96 degrees. The all-time high is 94.
Ooh.
For this part of Missouri. So we are in a pretty big warm front here. And tomorrow, I think it's supposed to be 97. But then after that, it drops out. Like Wednesday's high is like 83. And then I think Thursday's high is like 61.
Right.
So our teal season goes out Sunday. We have high hopes for the second, for the last 4 days of teal season. Now, it's actually been pretty good the last few days. Luckily today we only had one client. Just the way the season falls, we have, we do groups of 3 in a 16-day season. You have one day that you just don't have anybody. And luckily for us, that fell on one of the 2 hottest days of the season. So hopefully, the next guys coming in, we'll have, I think, only half a dozen guys coming in this afternoon. First day of their hunt might be a little slow, but after that, it should start to pick up.
Yeah.
Because if you look up north, Bismarck, Sioux Falls, they have highs, in the 60s starting, I think, tomorrow.
Yes.
Lows in the 40s.
Right 30s even in Minot.
Yeah, and blue-winged teal don't handle that very well. They don't like to get their toes cold. So I'm hoping that we wake up in the morning, Wednesday morning, and it's a different world than it is today and tomorrow.
That's crazy that y'all are going to cool, because we don't cool off. I'm looking at the forecast now. We cool off next Monday. We got a high of 80, low 62. Next Tuesday, high 83, low 53. But our season closes the 24th here, doesn't it?
I think so.
I think it closes the same time y'all's does. I think next Sunday is
ours
last
closes
day.
on Sunday the 25th.
This would be the 25th.
Yeah, that'll be ours too.
Yeah, that's us too.
The day after the world ends.
Yeah. World's supposed to end on the 24th, so.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, the Simpsons predicted
big asteroid's going to hit and wipe us out.
Season 24, episode 9 of The Simpsons has an asteroid striking Earth. So all of the people that come up with the Farmer's Almanac that use their witchcraft, they're also saying now that The Simpsons prediction is going to be right. And season 24, episode 9 means 9/24, an asteroid's going to strike.
Arliss, let me ask you an educated question here, okay? If the world was ending Sunday the 25th, what is your one thing you would have to get done this week?
Oh, geez. Probably go find Jennifer Lawrence, take her on a date.
So bang a supermodel. So there you go.
I just said take her on a date, Jeff.
Okay.
That is it.
She's
a wholesome lady.
She has no standards though. She is completely ripping apart. Who is it she's ripping on right now?
Probably Harvey Weinstein. She slept with him.
No. She doesn't rip on him. She said that somebody needs to be locked up, and I'm trying to think. It's Tucker Carlson or one of the guys from Fox News.
Oh yeah. I saw something about that on Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
They were talking about it.
There's no place for him in the world, but she slept with Harvey Weinstein. So you want to be Harvey Weinstein sloppy seconds is your life goal before Sunday.
She did get the Hunger Games. Right?
Well, I don't blame you at all. I've got no problem with that.
I mean, listen, I would like to think that she wouldn't judge me based on my politics. So who am I to judge her based on her? Politics?
There you go, Andy.
That's too much common sense.
You got. What are you doing before the 25th?
Before the 25th, I don't know. I pretty well do what I want to do every day.
I'm going to write a bad check and get me a private jet to pick me up, and I'm going to go see Scotland and Ireland because my check would not cover the cost for that private jet, but that's what I'm doing. I would like to go there and go out seeing some places I've never seen.
No.
So you just do nothing. You're just going to sit at home.
Jeff,
Okay, that's good. Me and Arliss got more to go for.
I long to just sit at my house and plop my feet up and watch TV. Like that is, I don't get to do that very much, so that's what I want to do.
It's funny. We talk about that sometimes, like when so you guys know how when the weather's bad, it's, warm, full moon, birds aren't moving until after shooting light or whatever. We get guests in. It's like, I know these guys are super busy, super successful, businessmen, all that. When was the last time you got to sit on the couch and watch a football game without any interruptions? Mm-hmm. It's like sometimes, and I know they're here to hunt, and I am more than happy to take somebody hunting whenever, whatever. I love it still, but it's like take advantage of the fact that you don't have anything to do when it's pouring rain, or sometimes when it's real cold, like 0 out. We won't go hunting until 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and some guys, I don't think, get frustrated with that, or they don't understand. It's like, listen, by the time the birds start to move at 11 or 12,
you're gonna be done,
and it's 0 out. You're gonna be ready to come in.
Right.
You're going to be cold. You're going to be hungry. And that's when we want to be there. So we'll sleep in. We'll have a big breakfast. Obviously, the guides are going out, checking on a few, making sure pumps are running, all that stuff. But some of the guests, it's just like, man, I know you don't get free time. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for that because I could enjoy being somewhere and just listening to the rain and it being cold, nasty, and miserable. Anything like that, I really enjoy. When we were in Washington State, the lady at Westport, which was across the bay from where we stayed at Ocean Shores, I asked her, I said, how much snow do y'all get there? And she said, we don't get much snow, but we get lots of freezing rain. I said, I bet it's real quiet here because that town's right on the Pacific Ocean and there's an inlet there. And she goes, actually, there's a lot of people that come here for the storms. I go, what? Because it rains every day. And there are people that come on vacation just to come here and sit and drink coffee and watch it rain and storm all day. And I thought I could be one of those people.
I could do that.
I would enjoy that.
I could get my head around that.
Yeah. Just sit and enjoy and listen to the rain and it just dumps ice and rain all day. I thought, I'm one of those people. So that wouldn't bother me.
It would really be convenient if the world ended on Monday and I could just sit in my chair and watch football all day Sunday. That would be how I would want to go out. So
I guess
push it back to Monday, not
realistically,
Saturday.
I think the Jennifer Lawrence thing is out. So I guess probably my birthday's the 23rd. We got a cold front coming in. Probably if I really had to pick, I'd like to shoot a limit of teal every day for the rest of the season. Be able to sit in a tree stand on my birthday and shoot a buck. And then the Cowboys win on Sunday, and then let the asteroid hit and just call it good.
Well, you ruined that for me. So you want the Cowboys to beat the Giants? You're from New York.
I hate the Giants.
Oh, gosh almighty.
I grew up in Western New York. I mean, till I was in like 7th grade, I lived in Western New York. Then I moved up to Northern New York, up there by Canada. And that was back when Jim Kelly and the Bills lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. And for some reason, I grew up hating the Bills, and I don't know why. When I guess I probably would have been like 11, 12 years old when the Cowboys beat them twice in a row. And I was like, yep, that's my team.
That's them.
And ever since then, it's been a heartbreak. They beat the Steelers like 2 years later. But ever since then, it's been our year, and it's never our year. And now, the NFC East rivalry, the Giants and all that stuff, I hate the Giants, but I find myself rooting for the Bills.
Yeah, how could you not?
I mean, you can't hate Josh Allen. You can't hate the Bills Mafia. It's just all my buddies are Bills fans. I'm a Cowboys fan. It's somehow they squeaked out a win yesterday against the Bengals, but I didn't even watch the game because I figured it was going to be an absolute butcher shop. But I don't know. Being a Cowboys fan, it's like that Darius Rucker song there. The Dolphins make him cry. Well, the Cowboys make me cry.
So let me ask you this, one thing I want to say. I thought about that on Sunday. This is how shallow I am. I'm like a fucking gene pool. I thought, well, if this fucking asteroid hits on the 24th, it's going to fuck up the NFL on the 25th.
Screw it all
That's the way to go. Fantasy football just starting. It's going to be over before we know it. How close? Me and Michelle are going to Sodas Point, New York. How far is that in your backyard from where you live at?
So I actually lived in Sodas Point for a couple of years. My mom lived there for up until just a couple of years ago. Now, where I live now, where at home is now, is about an hour and a half, 2 hours north of that, like up along, if you follow the lake shore, Lake Ontario, the eastern shore of it up to the St. Lawrence River, that's where I live now. But one of our guides, Matt Williams, actually runs his charter boat out of Sodas Point. Sodas Point's great. You're going to be there in October, so it's not the busy season, but I mean, there's a ton of apple orchards around there. The vineyards will still be rolling. A lot of the charter boats will be done by then, but Sodas Point in October is cool. There's a big beach and a pier, and it's almost like you feel like you're at the ocean, but there's no sharks. So,
tell me some must things to do for 2 old people that are going to look at just sightsee, eat food, and drive around and visit. That's all we're doing. We're going to spend a week up there doing nothing more than that.
Okay, so you're going to want to take a drive from Sodas Point east along the lake and just take the back roads and go through the apple orchards and go apple picking.
I'm not picking no apples. That ain't happening.
Why?
Okay.
What am I going to do with them?
All right.
Squeeze them, make your own shit.
I don't have time. I'm getting on a plane.
I mean, you don't have to pick more than 2 or 3.
Okay. Well, I'll pick 2 apples. Okay.
Pick 2 apples and eat them both.
Find some fresh apple cider.
Oh, I like that.
You're going to want to have some.
Yeah.
Have some fresh apple cider, an apple cider donut.
Oh, those are good.
Holy shit. Now we're talking.
You're going to want to eat in Sodas Point at Jack's. Jack's is a bar right on the bay, right down there.
Do they know you there so I can throw your name around?
It depends on who's bartending. There's a girl named Ashley that bartends there. I'll see if she's working when you're there, and if she is, I'll have her. I'll buy you a drink.
We're starting to get famous now. So when I go places, people might know me now. So see, that's why. And if I can name drop, if they don't know me, I can name drop. What's the guy's name that's got the charter there? I want to charge some stuff to him while I'm there.
Matt Williams is his name.
Okay, Matt. Okay.
His boat is the Wet Willie. It's parked right behind Jack's when it's in the water. He just pulled it out the other day.
The Wet Willie. I'm going to say I'm with the Wet Willie, and Matt told me to buy my dinner here, and I'll sign the tab.
That's right. Put it on Matt's tab.
I'll do that.
Yep, no doubt. There's some really good like small diners and if you can go into Rochester, you want to have chicken wings while you're there.
No, we're going to go to Buffalo one day, and we're going to go to Lake Placid one day. I know that for sure.
So, of course, I can't think of the name of the restaurant. In Buffalo, you can look it up. The original Buffalo chicken,
The Anchor.
Buffalo chicken wing, the Anchor bar. That's it. You're gonna want to have chicken wings at the Anchor bar, and then when you go to Lake Placid, if you want to spend some of Andy's inheritance, go to the Mirror Lake Inn for dinner in Lake Placid.
The Mirror Lake Inn. I will do that, and I will spend Zach's inheritance since Andy helps me.
Okay.
Andy helps me make money. Zach and Payne cost me money.
Okay. Yep. So spend some of Zach's inheritance. And did you already get a room in Lake Placid yet?
No, we're staying. We got a house on the St. Lawrence or the Ontario, whatever. We've got a waterfront house that we've got for a week, and we're just going to drive to Lake Placid. I live in West Texas, so drive 2-3 hours is not a big deal to me. We're going to drive and stay the day in Lake Placid and go look at all of it. We'll get back home at 10 o'clock at night. I'll give you my itinerary. We're landing in LaGuardia.
Yeah.
We're staying in Sleepy Hollow one night and going doing that. We're going to drive from Sleepy Hollow to Sodas Point the next day, and then we're going to have 7 days of doing whatever the hell we want to do. So,
yeah. So when you're in town, just give me a shout, and we can go through your itinerary. But you're going to really enjoy Lake Placid. I mean, that drive up through Route 3 and all that through the Adirondacks in October, there's not a better drive maybe in the world. I don't know. It's beautiful that time of the year up there.
The only
all the fall colors will be out. It'll be cool.
Yeah, the only thing that I'm not getting to do on this trip that I really wish I could do is I'm not going to get the fluid stuck in me, so I can't go across the border. And I would like to go see my buddy Rory White and go have dinner with him at one of his restaurants. That's the only thing that I'm regretting about the whole deal. But I'm gonna go. I've had so many people reach out to me that waterfowl hunt up there and invited me to come hunt, but I'm not going up there to hunt, and I do appreciate that very much. But
It's really good hunting up there.
and yeah, it is. I want to go just look. That's all we like to do.
I think you had my buddy Corey Alkerton on.
Yeah,
your
Corey's a good
podcast.
guy.
Yep, Corey lives right there, just across the border from. You're going to drive. Well, when you go to Lake Placid, you're not going to be too far away from where. Well, be a little bit south, cutting through the Adirondacks. But Corey's right there, and my buddy Nick up at Basswood Lodge up in Canton. You can, swing in and see them. Nick's a great dude. He's my partner in my turkey hunting business, and Nick's world class. But there's just tons of places, and if you're looking to just drive around and eat food, you're not going to be disappointed.
That's what.
Make sure you eat some Italian food while you're there, because there's probably not very many Italians in West Texas.
I'm Italian.
Jeff is Stanfieldo.
I grew up eating pasta. We didn't ever have a fucking potato at my house growing up. I never had mashed potatoes as I was a kid. I'm not bullshitting you. We had pasta with everything. If my mom made a snack of popcorn at night, we had pasta with it. We always had pasta.
So go ahead.
Corey, I had breakfast. I made waffles for breakfast yesterday morning. Corey sent me some syrup. Corey sent me syrup down. Best syrup I've ever had in my life.
Yep, there'll be plenty of that stuff. You can probably get you a refill while you're up there.
I have Corey send me some more. It was excellent.
So here's my dumb question.
Ahead.
Is there any, when they wrote Sleepy Hollow, like is that legend? Was that a legend of the times in that area about the headless horseman?
That was at Sleepy Hollow. That's not up in northern New York. That's right outside of New York City.
I know you said you're landing.
Yeah,
in
that's
Sleepy
down
Hollow.
in the Catskills. And I don't know enough about that stuff. I was afraid of the dark till I was 26, so I kind of don't really do scary movies all that much.
Like I still am.
But yeah, I don't. You'll have to. There's so much stuff to look at. When you go to Sleepy Hollow, I'm trying to think of where you can go from there. There's a good battlefield in Saratoga you could maybe go up to on your way up north, but that's kind of a little bit out of your way east. The Baseball Hall of Fame's in Cooperstown. That's open in October. Great places to eat there. There's the Omegang Brewery there in Cooperstown. You probably make that on your way to Sodas Point. Lots of stuff to do there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love upstate New York. I love that whole in the Northeast.
Could you imagine like shooting a bunch of honkers that are just like, you got the fall foliage behind you, and then like just these great big old pumpkin carrying honkers are landing at your feet, and you just mow into them?
It's beautiful up there.
How about that, Jeff?
The next week is going to be the guys there that get to hunt till the 25th in September. From right now until then is about, it's world-class honker hunting. You can shoot 15 a person. They get those molt migrators coming back out of Canada. It's incredible.
15 a day. That's a lot of goose meat.
There is not a better time of the year than September through the end of January. I'm telling you, that's the best time of the year.
I'm kind of partial to the spring.
You like turkey hunting? You're a turkey hunting guy.
I'm a turkey hunting guy. I'm one of those guys that if you had to put a gun to my head, you can hunt one thing for the rest of your life. And people might think I'm crazy. I mean, I work at the best place in the world to shoot a mallard duck, but a tom turkey to me is probably, I haven't elk hunted yet. But a tom turkey is probably number one for me. So I'm pretty partial to the spring. Everything's greening back up. Turkeys are gobbling. Spring's pretty good. But I hear you. September to January.
As a whole,
it's pretty good.
As a whole, September to January is better because you got football, you got waterfowl season. I'm with you though. I think there's a fucking ant about to get me. I'm with you though. Somebody just walked in. That I don't know who it is. I don't know. Somebody just pulled up and asking directions. But anyway, a tom turkey. If I'm like you, if they put a gun to my head, I think it would be a turkey.
Have you ever shot one in a eastern hardwood forest?
No, I've only shot turkeys out here.
Oh, yeah. You're gonna have to, if you're a turkey guy, find somewhere in the east, anywhere from Missouri to Maine, and hunt an eastern turkey in the hardwoods. It is like, I mean, I've hunted Nebraska, Missouri, South Dakota, Kentucky, North Carolina, Virginia, New York, Maine, Ohio, and eastern turkeys in the hardwoods. I hunted in Florida too, but eastern turkeys in the hardwoods. Any turkey guy, we will get it. I guide a lot of turkey hunts, and I'll use a blind and a strutter and that kind of stuff. For guests that you only got a couple days, you want to shoot a turkey. That's the best way to do it. For me, if I'm the one behind the gun, give me a open hardwoods with a 410, no decoy, and that's where I want to be.
That's it, huh? 410 also.
Yeah.
You're putting them close.
Yeah, the 410 thing got real trendy a couple years ago, and I don't do it to be trendy. I do it because I like to not know that I'm carrying a shotgun, and I'm getting old enough now where I don't like the recoil of a 3.5-inch 12 gauge.
Mm-hmm.
And you put, TSS in a 410 inside. I mean, my second New York turkey last year was like 36 steps, and it just dusted him. Inside of 40 yards, if you're outside of 40, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't fooled him. If I'm not using a 410, I'm using a bow and arrow, and the bow and arrow, I'll shoot him at 5 yards in the head. Now that I will use a blind for, but I mean, I might catch some hate for saying, the 12 gauge TSS loads, shooting a turkey at 70 yards. I mean, at that point, you're just killing turkeys.
Right. Yeah. You missed the mark. You missed what turkey hunting is all about. If you're shooting them at 65 or 70 yards, you've missed the boat.
And you're only punishing yourself because you don't get that, up close and personal 20 yard when they gobble, you can feel it, spit and drum, that whole thing. You're selling yourself short. You're shooting when they're at 70. Yeah, sure, you can kill them at 70, but it's just killing turkeys. It's not hunting turkeys.
Well, and I like that, as sick and twisted as this might sound, I like that feeling of defeat. I like going through that because in my mind, the payoff when it finally does work out and I shoot them at 15, me getting my ass kicked and having to feel that guttural, like that motherfucker was at 50 yards and I needed 20 more out of him or whatever that is. I need that to make the highs even higher. Like, sure, I could shoot it at 75 yards. I got Boss Tom. Coming out of my ass. Like, it'll reach wherever I want it to go. But
that's right.
But I need that loss and I need that feeling so that when it all does work out, it is a high that's so much higher than what it is shooting it at 75.
I think you said it best though. You can hunt something or you can kill something. And that is that is a mature statement, and that's what more hunters need to do. You need to be hunting and not just killing. I mean,
we had some teal clients the other day that were turkey hunters, and teal season gets a little slow sometimes. We're just talking about turkey hunting and talking about youth turkey hunting. And it's like, I've taken several kids and, you go, it's early in the spring up in the Northeast, our youth always a week before regular season, it's be it Missouri, New York, wherever. And it's almost too easy that time of the year on youth season. But, you set a blind, you set a strutter. If you're where a turkey's going to see it, he's coming because it's peak breeding. It's just, I don't know how many kids I've taken and the hunt lasts 20 minutes into the shooting light and a turkey's dead and it's their first time ever going. And sometimes I feel like that's a disservice to the kids. Like I had a kid 2 years ago in New York that he missed one to start off with. And then we went and run and gun and killed one without a blind and he earned it. Now that was his second turkey. He killed one the year before with us. And I asked him afterwards, I was like, no, that was cool. That was better than shooting him. He's like, man, I was so hard. And he was 14 at the time. So he's a little bit more mature than a 12-year-old. He's like, I was so upset that I missed that first one. But then the feeling of shooting the second one was even better.
Yeah.
You know, and I find myself kind of struggling like with youth kids. Like I love taking kids. I love taking kids and I love taking women turkey hunting because they listen to what I say. You know, if I'm taking a grown man turkey hunting, especially somebody who turkey hunts, it's like they got their way of doing it. I got my way of doing it. And, you know, call me stubborn, but my way's pretty good. You know, I watched a lot of turkeys die over the last several years, and a kid or a woman, you know, you say, okay, this is what we're going to do. They do it. But you know, taking these kids, instant gratification in a kid's world now, you know, it's like they want something, it's at their fingertips. The internet, boom, Amazon Prime, next day, Prime, boom, it's right there. And turkey hunting, you take a kid turkey hunting youth season, you set up a strutter and a blind, boom, you kill a turkey. I don't see what's so hard about this, you know, and then they lose interest in it. So I almost feel like it's like a double-edged sword there. You know, you get youth weekend. I don't have time to take a bunch of kids because I'm taking clients, or, you know, I got a buddy who survived cancer. Every year, opening day, May 1st, I don't care where I am in the world, I will be in New York with my buddy Nate, turkey hunting with Nate, opening day of turkey season every year. He beat lymphoma a couple years ago. We killed a turkey, and he was going through chemo, all that stuff, and that's just turkey hunting, right? It's emotional, it's fun, you guys, this is the turkey hunting podcast, but if you're a turkey hunter, you get it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an outdoorsman, you get it. You don't have to just be a turkey hunter. Like, if you're just,
but you know, for me, turkey hunting is where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, on a good day, you're only going to get a couple cracks at it. You know, like you might in that day, you might only get one crack at a bird. Whereas waterfowl hunting, you know, if you're in a relatively decent spot, you're going to get action all day long for 3 hours, you know, and you can make adjustments mid-morning to trick the next flock. Like if you're turkey hunting and you shit the bed, maybe tomorrow, it might be next week. It might not be again this season. Like it might be next year.
I think
absolutely.
I think the thing with people that hunt, it's the anticipation of getting to pull the trigger is what makes hunting so good. That flock of ducks on that last swing, knowing this might be it, and sometimes you lose them. That anticipation of seeing those geese, you know, set those wings and cup up and start doing the whiffling or the waffling or the maple leaf and whatever you want to call it. Your turkey guys, right when they're in that last 10 yards, you need them to go. That's what makes hunting so good. Fishing, you don't get to see the anticipation before the bite. It's just the bite. Hunting, you get that anticipation of watching it come, whether you're deer hunting and they've got to come in another 50 yards, they got to come out of the trees, whatever it is. That's what hunters get that people that do not hunt do not understand. It's not the actual pulling the trigger that's so great. It's what happens before that trigger's pulled, those 30 seconds, those 15 seconds before that. I don't even know how to explain it on any other level because there's nothing else in the world like it that I've experienced, you know?
I've said it a million times. If you could bottle it up and sell it, you'd be rich.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's just adrenaline or if it's just a severe endorphin release in your brain or what it is. But like you said, that last hook on a bunch of mallards, or when a bunch of snow geese are just absolutely eating it up and you know their feet are down, they're coming, you're about to wreck a bunch of snow geese, or, you know, a big buck you've got to full draw and he needs to take one more step and he's done. You know, that tom turkey tucks his fan, his head's light bulb white, and here he comes running. you know, I fooled you. I win. Now it's whether or not I can either make a shot or not, or, you know, if I decide not, you know, whatever, I won the game, that feeling. And then, like, for me, turkey hunting, the rush of it, you know, it doesn't get old. The only thing that's given me a bigger rush is shooting 170-inch deer. I've done that twice, but it just doesn't happen as often. You can't fuel that. With turkeys, you can get the rush more often than you can with deer. And, like ducks and geese, like you said, it's a lot more action packed. I still get fired up on a bunch of mallards. You put 20 mallards in the hole and the guys come out and kill 8 of them, or whatever. It's still high five in, let out a Ric Flair woo, like, and I don't know how many thousands of times I've seen it over an 8-year guiding career, plus I think this will be my 31st year duck hunt, or no, 32nd year since I killed my first duck. It doesn't get old, but that feeling, if you could bottle it up, like you said, turkeys, deer, ducks, geese, I can't imagine a bull elk screaming in your face at 10,000 feet in the Rocky Mountains. I mean, that's got to be incredible. But in Africa, and just an elephant or something, hunting something crazy like that, like that's got to be just a rush that you can't duplicate any other way. Maybe jumping out of an airplane, but even that,
I ain't doing that shit. I'd remember that.
I'm out on that. These are feathers, these are not feathers. These are fingers, not feathers, right? We don't fly.
People that don't hunt don't get it though. It's like when I was a kid, I was 13 years old, and me and my dad and my brother went to Lake Arrowhead to hunt in Wichita Falls. And when it rains and the lake's completely full, there's a big flat at Shoshone Park, a park south of town. But anyways, we hunted it. My dad had a Lone Star V8 V-hull boat, and it had 3 swivel chairs on it, bash chairs that we hunted out of. And he had a blind. It was basically, we hunted out of A-frame that he had built with PVC pipe. And we had, back then you could only buy, either you could buy burlap or you could buy some retro camo shit that's coming in popular on all the clothes now, was what we had to hide under. And we had a frame built on it, and we had a blind, and we would put out 24 floater Canada geese, and we'd put out about 4 duck decoys, and we hunted all the time. And to this day, I remember one day we had a widgeon drake hovering over the decoys. Widgeon drake. And I had this old Model 1100, and I shot that duck, and I was 13 years old. I remember everything about that hunt. I remember that duck, my dad there. We'd listen to the Cowboy game on the radio. My dad had a black lunch box, and we would eat lunch every day, and we'd have sandwiches and hard-boiled eggs and water, or buy a big bottle of Coke. I remember that. I can't tell you about a birthday party I had as a kid growing up. Not one. I had them. I don't remember any of that shit, but I can remember days hunting with my dad and my brother growing up. And that's the shit hunters not shit. That's the stuff that hunters have in their life that people that don't hunt or fish in the outdoors, they're robbing themselves of, making those memories. Because
Tell me another event that happened in your life when you were that age that you can vividly describe. I mean, your first duck, your first deer, your first turkey, your first goose. I mean,
your first
tell
boobs.
me,
First
like you said,
yeah, first set of boobs, but that's
I
it.
can't remember that. I don't remember that. I haven't seen a pair yet, but I mean, I don't remember, but
I do. She was a neighborhood skank.
Happy to have it.
But
happy to see them.
I couldn't tell you that, but I can tell you every vivid detail of my first duck, and I was 7 years old.
Yeah, I remember
I was shooting a single shot 410, pass shooting mallards coming into a beaver pond in the afternoon. I kept shooting at ducks, and they'd flare, and I'd miss, and I'd tell my dad, I hit that one, you didn't hit that one, you didn't hit that one. This old Susie Mallard was 10 yards above us, and I shot and folded her, and I looked at my dad and said, are you going to tell me I didn't hit that one? And I held on to that duck for I come from a broken home, so we had to do the hostage exchange on Sundays. I'd go up to hunt with my dad on Friday night and come back on Sunday, and I held on to that duck until we met my mom at the gas station parking lot. And Dad was like, all right, I'm gonna take the duck and clean it for you. But I held on to it for 4 hours after I shot it. 7 years old. But I can't tell you anything else that happened when I was 7.
That's exactly
barely when I was 16.
Yep, that's right. I killed my first goose exactly 7 miles south of where I sleep every night. If you'd have told me when I shot that first goose at Lake Winchester that I was going to be living and spend the rest of my life 7 miles here running a hunting operation out here, I'd have thought I hit the freaking lottery. But yes, you remember.
That's right.
You remember those things. And people that don't hunt remember it. I've never shot a turkey. Andy took me turkey hunting one time. It was the most miserable experience of my life hunting ever because he wouldn't let me shoot.
It was a bunch of jakes.
I didn't care.
We called up a bunch of jakes in the first 5 minutes. It's just this row this rogue band of jakes. It's later in the year, and they're there to do nothing but spoil your hunt and chase
I
Toms
call them
away.
burger punks.
Yes, and they're sitting there, and I'm like, no, we're not doing that, Jeff.
I didn't understand why. He tells me to come hunting. His mother tells me, Jeff, it'd mean a lot to Andy if you'd go with him to shoot a turkey. I said, okay, I'll go with him then. NASCAR was on. I'm not even really a NASCAR fan, so I left a race to go with Andy to turkey hunt, and he makes me sit in a rattlesnake-infested mesquite patch.
Saw no rattlesnakes.
And we're there a few minutes, and that's what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be like duck and goose hunting. You sit down there, about the time first light comes up, we sit there, and Andy goes, here they come. I'm looking.
First light, we went hunting in the evening.
No, I know, but I thought it was going to be like first light. When the duck hunt, as soon as the light pops up, there's ducks there. Well, shit, we sat there 5 minutes, and here comes these turkeys. I thought, hell yeah.
Jakes.
Turkeys.
Jakes.
18-inch gobblers, 18-inch beards on them, 4-inch spurs on them.
They didn't even make the turn
there was
point down.
18 of them with 1-inch beards.
Yes.
So,
we'd have had to shoot all of them to get a full beard and a full fan.
And so I'm thinking, he's going to let me shoot. So I'm ready to shoot. And they go off, and Andy's like, well, what'd you think? Well, I thought you didn't let me fucking shoot. What do you expect? We sat there about 30 more minutes, and I was like, we can go ahead and go home. You don't have to worry about me out here. The springtime is for chasing tornadoes, not turkeys for me.
I was gonna say, Jeff, you come to New York, I'll let you shoot a jake. Be fine. You can come catch a walleye and shoot a jake, and you'll have a great time.
I'd love to catch a walleye. I would probably enjoy turkey hunting because it's like I went teal hunting Saturday with Andy, and I had a great time. It was absolutely wonderful. I hadn't done it in a long time, and I had a great time. And I miss that. I really have. I really enjoyed that. I'm gonna make myself go some more, but it has to be the right time for me to do it when I don't have nothing else going on here. I mean, it's just like right now we've got 30 dove hunters coming in. Some just showed up just a second ago. I'm going to be busy until 11 o'clock tonight. And that's waterfowl season's that way every day. And I just don't have time, but I need to start making myself time. But I enjoyed it because it was me and Andy and some guys. And Andy almost let me call the shot 2 times.
How's your teal season been down there?
Above average.
Yeah, I'd say
nothing great.
It hadn't been like a world. Definitely not the best that we've ever had. But last weekend, the place that we hunted had more teal on it than I'd probably ever seen since we've had it. So Saturday was really good. And then
did Jeff tell you about the thing I was telling him about on the internet, the migration radar or the bird radar?
No.
I still don't know how to read that damn thing.
I think I've seen it. Is it like where it's different colors and like if it's like bright white, that's a heavy migration?
Yep. So you can go on there if you mess around with it. You can. So it's through the Cornell Ornithology Lab. So that's pretty legit. Like that's the best bird science in the world. And you can type in your county, right?
Okay.
And I went on there in Sheridan County, Missouri, which is where our with the home lodge is in Sumner. Last Saturday or Sunday, they said 4.5 million birds migrated through Sheridan County overnight.
Wow.
Thursday night, it was 1,700.
Really?
And last weekend, the teal hunt was great, right through the week, getting into this warm weather, the migration's down, the bird radar's down, teal hunt starts to slow down. Now, last night, they said there was over 400,000 birds, and I think they had a slow hunt, but I mean, that's just birds. It could have been 400,000 blackbirds.
Sure.
But that when it said it was up, 4.5 million, and there's even like a prediction on there, like you can mess around with it and find like, they were predicting a big migration last night. Now, I don't know if it's based on wind direction, temperature, or whatever, but they were predicting a big migration last night, and it was pretty good. But like I said, I don't know how I think the teal were pretty slow this morning, but also it was, like I said, 74 degrees at sunrise this morning.
Well, you've got guys up in Canada, but I was talking to Corey Nickham, and he said that wherever he is in Canada, I don't know where he hunts at, but wherever he is in Canada, they are loaded with blue-winged teal.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But
I'm afraid. In 2019, our teal season was 16 days. It was over 90 degrees 11 of those 16 days, and just after teal season, while we're brushing blinds, there is teal everywhere. Every one of our holes had teal on it. I'm kind of sure that's what's going to happen this year. And there was a later hatch on a lot of teal. They had a later nesting effort, so. I was hearing reports of fuzzball mallards and teal in August, and those ducks aren't going to be ready to fly till late October.
Right.
So I don't have, I won't be surprised at all if we're shooting blue wings or not seeing blue wings and maybe even shoot some right around our North Zone opener, the 28th of October, 27th, whenever it is this year. But you guys will probably be covered up with blue wings here in 3 weeks, and so will we.
Probably so. But so how many weekends have we? This weekend was the second week we've done.
This is the last weekend.
So, and then the week before that, we had a group and we did good both days. Saturday and Sunday were both good. So we only do teal hunts we only do dove hunts on the weekend. So that's when we do teal hunts also. So we don't go 7 days a week at teal hunting. Now this week will be a bit of an exception because we have hunters during the week here. So
and the guys dove hunting this weekend don't teal hunt.
Oh, they don't?
No, we have no teal hunters on the weekend.
Oh, so we could go out.
Yes.
Okay. Well, good. That'll be good.
So you guys remember how I was telling you about that woolly bear thing when we first got on this phone call?
Yeah, there it is. It's blacker than an ace of spades.
Yep.
Okay, Arliss.
There he is right there. Normally, they would be orange in the middle. Now, so we're going to have a rough winter, I guess.
Well, they told us that whenever the mesquite beans are long, it's going to be a cold winter. And our mesquite beans are longer than my dong.
Well, I didn't want to talk about your dong. So, Arliss, let me ask you a question, bud. Me and you both had fat surgery, and we both went to Mexico. I say it's the best thing I've ever done in my life in the last 20 years. How do you feel? You feel a lot better? You look good?
Yesterday, I hung a tree stand with ladder sticks and a hang-on stand, and I just said, we got done. I was like, I would have never been able to do that a year ago. You know, I would have had one of the other guys hang it, and I might have been able to climb up in it after it was hung, but it's changed my life. I mean, I can run a mile without stopping. You know, I can probably run 2 miles without stopping. Since teal season started, I haven't been exercising like I was, but you know, I'm wearing size 34 pants.
Holy shit.
I had to sell all my hunting gear, give a bunch of it away, buy all new stuff. You know, it's crazy. This tractor that I'm sitting on, my belly was hitting on this thing last year. You know, it was uncomfortable to drive this tractor. And now, you know, like I just hop down off here, hop back up on it, and little things like that I don't even notice sometimes, but it's like, wow, that was a whole lot different than it used to be.
My two favorite things is riding on a fucking airplane without having to have a fat boy lap.
Oh my God. You can put the tray table down.
Yeah, hell yeah. I used to never put it down because it was resting on my titties. Now some bitch goes all the way down. It's great. And going into a booth at a restaurant, I used to have to size up a booth when they'd say, "You want a booth?" It's like, well, if I can move the table around.
Booth or a table? I'll take a table. No, yeah, sure, I'll take the booth. I'll even sit on the inside.
Yeah, that's me. I'm a booth.
I like sitting in the back seat of a car.
I don't like riding with nobody.
You know, so I sat in the back seat of my pickup going to Squad Fest.
It wasn't bad. Yeah, I sit in the back. I did do that, and it wasn't bad. But it is crazy how it changed our lives. And I tell people all the time, I have people all the time, I can lose it on my own. Dude, if you're over 100 pounds, you ain't going to lose it by your own unless you really, really have some serious willpower. And if you had serious willpower, you wouldn't be fat like you are. And I'm not fat shaming anybody. I've been that battle. No.
Fat shaming.
But
I still don't fat shame anybody, but you know, it's like I see people and I'm like, God, I wish I could just go up to them and be like, man, your life would be so much easier if you went and did this.
I do that.
At the same time, you can't force somebody. I mean, it's just like anything, like any kind of other addiction, right? Being overweight is an addiction problem. It's a food addiction. It's a whatever. Granted, there's metabolisms and all that kind of stuff that get involved. But for the most part, you're overweight because of you. It's not anybody else's fault. You know, you can blame whoever you want, blame your mama, blame whoever, but it's your fault. And if you can't, you know, have the willpower to stop eating, exercise, all that stuff, then you're never going to lose weight. And for me, I couldn't do it. You know, I would try different diets, this and that. And granted, you know, being around all this good food that we're around all the time and all that stuff, you know, I have to be careful now, you know, because when we talked last year, I hadn't eaten sugar. I hadn't had, you know, a lot of things. And now my sweet tooth is back. So I'm very cautious about that. I still haven't had alcohol. I still don't drink soda. I haven't had a carbonated beverage since August 18th of last year. I had a Dr. Pepper was the last soda that I had. And I was a daily soda drinker. I mean, every day I would drink Diet Pepsi. And, you know, I haven't had any alcohol. and I've lost about 155 pounds.
Jeez.
You know, I'm still not down to where I'd like to lose another 20, 25, 30 pounds to get down to where I really want to be. But you know, as far as just life in general, I have that dimorphism there where you look at yourself and you still see the same person.
Mm-hmm.
But then I see a photo of it and it's like, holy shit, like the old me. I see a picture of the old me and it's like, God damn, I can't believe I let myself get to be like that.
Right.
Yeah,
you get there 1 pound at a time though. Like it's not.
No bullshit. That's how much jumps on you.
No, I don't think it's one little. It's gradual. That's why people don't see it.
Yeah, I've lost.
Yep.
I'm down
Go ahead,
100.
Jeff.
I'm down 104, and I lost 2 pounds in the last 2 months, and I don't eat good at all. Now I do eat more salads and stuff, and Jesse's the biggest one about staying on me about stuff. And I've tried to cut my sweet tea down. I'm drinking water all the time now, but I'm happy with where I'm at. If I don't ever lose another pound and I stayed right here, I'd be happy. I'd like to lose 30 more pounds is what I'd like to do, but I'm happy. I don't drink sodas and stuff anymore. But the thing that I am that guy that you said you can't be. I've done that. Michelle gets on to me. I'll see some fat fucker somewhere. I'm like, listen, bud, I was you a year and a half ago. You can lose some weight.
Can I talk to you for a minute, just a second?
And she gets on to me for that. We had a guy in town that needs to lose some weight. And I told him, I said, listen, bud, I'm not being rude. I'm telling you as a friend, if you'll go down and because he can afford to go. And I don't want everyone to tell someone that can't afford it. He can afford it. I said, if you go to Mexico where I went and had surgery, I said, it's going to cost you $5,000. I said, you're going to lose 60, 70 pounds in a year guaranteed, and you'll feel so much better about everything in life. And I said, you're going to live a lot longer. Now, he might get hit by a train tomorrow. I mean, I don't know, but I told him that. Well, Michelle's like, you can't do that to people. Yeah, you can. Because if someone would have told me, it wouldn't hurt my feelings.
Well, Jeff, you told me.
Yeah. So,
you know, I called you, and, you know, we had never spoke. We have mutual friends. Matt Merlick, one of the owners of Habitat Flats, you know, he listens to the podcast and he'd heard you talking about it. And he's like, man, I think you should reach out to Jeff. And I talked to Logan about it. He's like, yeah, you know, I got your number from Logan Pyatt. And, you know, after we had that conversation, I was just like, screw it. I called Pompey like that day, scheduled my surgery for 3 weeks later. And 3 weeks later, I'm in Tijuana, Mexico, having weight loss surgery.
it's the greatest thing ever.
It was like, and literally, so I had my surgery it was like August 23rd or 22nd or something like that of last year. And I was like hoping I'll lose 50 or 60 pounds before duck season starts in November. I had lost like 73 pounds when duck season started. You know, I lost 130 pounds by the time snow goose season rolled around. And, you know, like I said, I've lost 150, 155 pounds since then, you know, total. And I've really hit a plateau recently, but you know, I think I was 245 the last time I stepped on a scale. I was 400 pounds when I went and had the surgery.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I was stuck in the mud away from having a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
you know,
exactly
right. I
right.
don't know how I managed to guide duck hunts and snow goose hunts, you know, 100 days out of the year. I don't know how I did it.
Well, I'm proud.
Now it's like
I'm proud for you.
Go ahead.
And I noticed when me and Michelle got to San Diego and we got to the airport, and they said this Suburban's going to pick us up, and this Suburban picked us up, and there was 3 ladies and me and Michelle, and they were going to have to pick somebody else up to get in the Suburban. I was like, boy, they don't do very much planning. They're picking up a bunch of fat asses for fucking fat weight surgery. You're going to put 7 of us fat fuckers in this Suburban? There ain't no way. We had that son bitch weighted down big time going to the place. Michelle was the only person in there under 130 pounds.
It's funny, you cross into Mexico and they don't even stop you at the border.
No,
like, come on in.
It was nuts. That's what I thought too. I was like,
you don't even stop.
Yeah. Do we need a passport or anything? Can you imagine taking a wrong turn, get drunk in San Diego, and wake up in Tijuana
without your passport?
Yeah, I think you'd be screwed.
Getting the wrong Uber.
Oh, it's a bad day.
But in hunting season's tough on a diet. Like you're tired and you just want to eat and you just want. But you're active. That's one good thing. But I'm telling you what, I couldn't imagine. I could imagine, but just not being able to just gorge yourself of all the dessert. Because I'm sure Habitat Flats is just like it is here. Like you got desserts every night, and
it's unreal.
You know, just
it is unreal.
The amount of carbohydrates and sugar that are just readily available right there. Or you're walking by and you just grab a muffin, and it's tough. It's tough because you're tired.
And so like every morning I try and eat something with protein for breakfast. Either be, if we have a breakfast sandwich, I'll try and, if it's a breakfast biscuit, I'll pull the top half of the biscuit off. I do need to have some carbs.
Yeah.
But I'll eat the egg and the sausage and cheese in the bottom part of the biscuit. Or if it's biscuits and gravy, I'll have one biscuit with gravy on it rather than two.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if it's breakfast burritos, I won't eat the burrito part of the breakfast burrito. And then generally I'll grab like a pack of crackers or something like that for when we get done with the hunt. I get in the truck and I need to eat something because my blood sugar is kind of getting low.
Yes.
I haven't had carbs all morning. Eat that on the way back to the lodge. Try not to eat too many cookies. If the girls have fresh made chocolate chip cookies, I'm pretty bad about eating those. I'll eat one or two of those, and then I'll tell them, don't let me eat any more of these. But then, lunchtime, if we have a burger and fries, I won't have a bun.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of having a half a plate of fries, I'll have 6 or 8 fries.
Yeah.
Or if we have mac and cheese, instead of a whole bowl of mac and cheese, I'll have some, but not a lot. And I can kind of maintain like that. It's harder to lose the weight like that. But, here for the next month after teal season closes, we'll be brushing blinds and working 7 days a week. And, I'll shoot a couple deer. We have to fend for ourselves at that time. So I'll shoot a couple deer. The boys and I will, we'll cook for ourselves. We'll fend for ourselves. We'll eat deer meat, vegetables. Everybody kind of starts to be like, okay, we all know we're about to be on the seafood diet. At the lodge, you see it, you eat it. So we all kind of want to be like, all right, we need to at least go into it halfway healthy.
Yeah.
So, eating venison and vegetables, and for me, one of the biggest things is not drinking alcohol anymore.
I bet.
Because I haven't had a hangover in 14 months. And
how much were you drinking? I mean, would you drink every day?
No, I wasn't an everyday drinker, but I was, when I drank, I would drink a lot.
Yeah.
I couldn't do the 1 or 2 cocktails. It would be a bottle of Captain Morgan.
Ooh.
Or, 10 beers or, and I would, go for it. And when I went for it, I was a big guy, 400 pounds. I could drink that much and not really, I would be drunk, but I wouldn't be like falling down.
Right.
Boy, I got tipsy one night. Whew, now it affects you different.
See, that's another thing too. I'm a little bit worried about how it would affect me because for one thing, it's been so long. I know they say your stomach, you metabolize things differently and all that. And it's like, maybe I just don't need to know.
Right.
And I've got to the point now where I can go to a bar and hang out, and I'll bring those little Crystal Light iced tea packets with me and dump one of those in. And then I feel like I'm sipping on a cocktail.
Yeah.
I'll just get a ice water, and I'm not spending $100. I'm not hungover. I'm not making a fool of myself. It's actually kind of nice. But I can get to the point where hold on a second. I just got a phone call. There we go. Am I back?
You were, but now you're gone again. There you go.
All right, we're here.
Yep.
Sorry about that. Get to the point where I can go out, be social, have a good time, not feel like I'm having to have to drink. So, but yeah, like you said, Jeff, to answer your question, absolutely. Best thing I ever did. Couldn't imagine going back.
I got to where I would fry a bunch of bacon at night because I want the protein and I want the fats. If I had to say that I subscribe to a diet, which I don't diet at all, but if I were going to, it would be the ketogenic diet. So like high in fat, no carbohydrates. So I fry a bunch of bacon and then that's what I eat in the morning. Because we have biscuits and gravy out here, and I'm like you. I need to stay away. I try to stay from I try to stay away from as many carbohydrates as I can. So
yeah,
I do bacon for breakfast, and I'll just fry a whole shitload of it, and then put it in the refrigerator at night or in the morning when I wake up. I'll pick it up, reheat it, and it's great. And then I try to have beef jerky in my blind bag because I was real bad about I would do trail mix. Well, it's got fucking M&Ms in it. So
what about those cinnamon donuts?
The cinnamon donuts, Mrs. Baird's makes cinnamon donuts down here, and they're phenomenal. I'll try to just do those once a week or something. That might be my little guilty pleasure. But
Arliss, does food taste different to you? Because bacon and beef does not taste as good as it used to me.
No, not really. I mean, everything seems to be about the same. Now, I finally did catch COVID about a month ago now, and I lost my sense of taste, and stuff tasted weird for about a week. But luckily, I think everything's come back to normal. Coffee was tasting funny for a while. Couldn't taste some things, but I guess just some things I know, like bread. I used to love bread. Bread kind of makes me feel like crap. Steak. If I have to eat the fatty part of the steak now,
Yeah.
like, you know, you say you live on, you can eat enough bacon to get you going through. I can't eat enough bacon to keep me, going. So I have to have some carbs.
Right, because you need the insulin, and that's what carbohydrates turn to. I think it increases your blood sugar.
Right.
See,
go ahead.
No, I was just say meat tastes funny to me, and I don't know if it was COVID or surgery. That's why I was wondering, because I had COVID right about time I did before my surgery. I had it, and I still was in that taste funk stuff. Then I had surgery, and then since then, nothing's tasted the same. Like soda, it ain't no big deal for me not to drink Coke anymore because it tastes like shit now.
Yeah,
it's got a horrible taste to it, and I don't know if that's COVID or surgery. So I just don't even,
because I can't drink. I used to, if I was gonna have a soda, it was Coca-Cola, and it tastes god awful from the fountain, from a bottle, from a can. It's bad.
I've heard that if you stop drinking it and you go back to it, it's just syrupy and like
mine tastes like
it makes
shit.
Your teeth feel funny. Like
it's gross. I think mine's a COVID deal. Mine tastes absolutely horrible. It's not the sweet. It just has a terrible. If it tastes this, I would have never drank a Coke my whole life, but tried it once. If it tastes like this 50 years ago, it's that bad.
But I can drink Dr. Pepper. I can't drink Coca-Cola, but I can do Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper tastes normal.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just completely given it up, and I miss it sometimes, but for the most part, I drink Propel. I try to drink as much straight water as I can. I just don't really like regular water, unfortunately. So like if I go to a restaurant, I'll get a half lemonade, half water. And the waitress usually thinks I'm crazy, but that's just what I drink. Half lemonade, half water. That's what I had this morning with breakfast. I'll have a coffee in the morning, and then half lemonade, half water, or a Propel or Gatorade Zero, and that's pretty much all I drink. I used to drink a ton of milk. I don't really drink milk anymore. I can't drink chocolate milk. Chocolate milk's one thing. I've only been sick twice since my surgery, and one of the times it was after drinking chocolate milk.
Really?
So I don't even drink it anymore.
Stay away from it.
Will you eat yogurt again? I'll never eat yogurt again the rest of my fucking life.
I actually I go hard on Greek yogurt.
I can't stand it anymore. And I loved it.
And I got back into the protein shakes again. I had to get off of them for a while, and now I'm usually good for about a month, and then I got to take about a month off and get back on them for a month. And so I'm right here. As soon as teal season's over, I'll get back in the protein shake game for breakfast. I started making almost more like smoothies than protein shake. It's still with protein, but I'm more, instead of the chocolate ones, I'm on the fruit ones now. But that just helps a lot too. A protein bar and a protein shake in the morning gives you 50 grams of protein in the morning. You're hungry. You're not hungry till early afternoon. And that, low in carbs, with the fruit smoothies, you got some carbs, you got some sugar in there. If you don't use that and just use like the protein powder and milk or yogurt, you're almost carb free. And that's a good way to go.
It's crazy how much sugar is in soda. Like I saw a graph one time that, if you drink 2 Dr. Peppers a day, like you're drinking a bag of just fucking sugar, basically, is all that you're doing.
Absolutely.
And people don't.
Coca-Cola bad. There's so much sugar in Coca-Cola.
Yeah, people don't realize that. I guess because it's a drink and they're like, it tastes great. But it was like 3 Dr. Peppers is like this much sugar. And you're
beers
giving
are the
that
same
to your
way.
body. Yeah.
Like Busch Light, I think a Busch Light has like 160 calories or something like that in one. And you drink 10 of those, that's 1,600 calories. That's more than half your caloric intake for the day.
Yeah. Well, your body's just got to figure out what to do with it. How are we going to convert this to energy? So it just stores it as fat.
Yeah.
If anybody out there is listening, Jeff would love some cherry sour beers. I can't find anywhere. I had some of them upstate. I had them in Vermont last year. Best beer I've ever had in my entire life. And the people only make it seasonal. I called them the other day, and they didn't make any this year. I love that stuff.
Have you tried Liquid IV? I think it might have a lot of sugar in it, so don't quote me on that. But
yeah, it's almost too
sweet,
too thick, or too syrupy or something.
See, I'll do.
It's like the
more water than what it calls for. So if it calls for 16 ounces, I'll do like 24 or 30.
regular Gatorade, I have to water down.
You do?
So like regular Gatorade, I'll put it on ice. You know, because there's a ton of sugar in regular Gatorade.
Yes.
So if I drink that, I have to water it down.
Huh.
And like orange juice, I mean, it's like I'll fill a cup 3/4 away with water and ice and put a shot of orange juice in there, and that's it for orange juice for me. I can't do straight orange juice anymore.
That's how I drink it also. Just flavored water, basically, with a little pulp in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like Topo Chico also.
I miss those.
But y'all can't do carbonated, can you?
Nope.
There's some people who do, but I think that's the road back to gaining your weight back is when you start drinking carbonation, drinking alcohol, eating sugar. And like I said, I've eaten more sugar than I probably should have.
Yeah.
So I'm back to the point where it's like, okay, if I stop doing all this stuff before, I can stop doing it again. So I've got myself kind of brainwashed into knowing that I can do it again. And that's just what I have to do. Just not drink the crap that I was, and eating the crap that I was eating before. So, did you guys see the DU hatch numbers and all that stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. We talked to David Schuessler about him, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Blue-winged teal are way up.
Yeah. Blue-winged teal are way up. Now, if you look at those numbers were basic versus 2019, the ones that, all went out. And I mean, I think we're in for like a very, very good fall. The last 2 years, with the bad hatch, I think part of the, everybody's question is like, well, how come ducks are nocturnal? Well, I think that's those older adult ducks. They're just like older adult snow geese. They're smarter.
Mm-hmm.
I think, they don't stick together in bunches near as well. I think, this year we are in for a very, very good fall flight. I
hope that you're right. So let me ask you this, because we've talked about this quite a bit, and you're the reason that Southern Louisiana doesn't have ducks anymore. So, I might as well ask the guy. Do you notice that mallards switch nocturnal when there's an abundance of flooded corn around?
Man, I've heard this, several times, and I don't know that that's the case based on the flooded corn. To me, the nocturnal is weather and pressure, but mostly weather. So like the St. Charles, Missouri area, right? There's a bunch of flooded corn down there. That's where, just west of St. Louis. That is like the home of flooded corn.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many duck clubs. Every flooded corn piece is getting hunted every day that it's a pressure thing. I think if you didn't hunt that flooded corn, those ducks would be in there during the day.
Right.
Like I know some guys that hunt flooded corn up in Northwest Missouri. They won't hunt other than 10 to 2. They won't run the ducks out in the dark.
Right.
They let them leave on their own, and they'll only 10 to 2. I would love to be able to do that, but I get it with guests. With the guests and all that, you really can't. Guys want to be they want the duck hunting experience, right? Now, like I said, when it's cold, we won't hunt until 10 o'clock in the morning. But average day, we hunt right next to Grand Pass. Grand Pass hunts half an hour before sunrise to 1 p.m. At 1 p.m., the ducks know the guys are out there. They start flying around.
Right.
I would love to be able to take advantage of that, but I don't think. Of course, people are, oh, well, he has to say that. I mean, for us, when the ducks get going nocturnal, we leave them alone in the corn. We'll leave them alone for a week in the corn, hunt our moist soil, hunt our timber holes, hunt a dry field, and they come back to daytime stuff. You're not running them out in the dark. You're not staying until dark. Very rarely will we hunt our corn after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes after 1 p.m. we're done. We don't hunt the corn. Now this year at the Grand, we actually made some changes. We are only taking 12 guests at a time now. So our guests will have, they each have their own bathroom in their room. The pressure will be cut in half. It should be very, 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 very good for, the duck hunting here should be phenomenal. Our stuff looks great. Our corn looks great. Grand Pass's corn looks great. Our moist soil is phenomenal. Great hatch. It's just panning out to be, this is our 4th season at the Grand. We've been the first couple of years, you're spinning the dial, right? Trying to build it up, get the infrastructure done, figure out where stuff needs to go. Now going into season 4, we're fine tuning the dial, right? So like this past spring, I did a little bit of dirt work, We move some pits, move some blinds, get them to where, the ducks seem to like these places a little better. The water's a little better here. We drilled some more wells, just constantly improving, because that's one thing about, Habitat Flats and Tony and all that is we are never satisfied, right? We're never like, well, we're good, kick back, heel, dust our hands off and call it good.
Yeah.
There's always something you can do to make it better. And, the idea that we are stopping migrations with flooded corn is asinine.
It's all your fault.
I mean,
it's all your fault. You single-handedly changed
sorry.
it. You did it.
I know. I think I have like 100 acres of flooded corn for this fall. Well, that's not true. On the south side of the river, I think I have 100 acres of flooded corn. And if I could hold 8 million mallards in 100 acres of flooded corn, I'd be really impressed with that.
Arliss, I mean, I know that you're doing it. You're stopping the migration. This is all on you.
Yeah, you're right.
8 million. You've got 8 million ducks on 100 acres. That's impressive.
You know what? We've been lying this whole time. We are stopping.
I know you've been lying.
There,
I see
that.
There,
I said it. I finally said it. Nobody else will say it. I said we're stopping the whole migration.
Heaven forbid we ever look at the warm weather trend and the lack of snow and all that. Like, that's got nothing to do with it. It's all the flooded corn.
No, bad hatches, that kind.
It's never the bad hatch.
I have a crystal ball and a genie, actually. So I got 3 wishes. One of my wishes was to be able to stop the migration.
And Jennifer Lawrence.
So we'll see what happens
I'm
here.
not telling you guys what the other 2 wishes were, but that first one was to stop migration, and I got my wish.
So, but in your observation, you've noticed that if the birds do switch nocturnal, if you take the pressure away after a week or so, they get back on a normal ducky routine.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, like, we have a split in the middle zone in Missouri.
Yeah.
So it's a 5-day split. We'll hunt for 9 days. So we hunt Saturday to Sunday, and then we have a Monday through Friday split. By about Thursday, the ducks are back to flying in daylight. They're, using our stuff. They're in there all day long. They're not just sitting on the refuge all day. So then, Friday, I wish we had a 7-day split or even a 10-day split, but a 10-day I think would be a bit much, because I think they eat us out of house and home. We'd have to go run them out of the corn at that point. But a 7-day split, I feel like, would really get the ducks back on a daytime deal. And usually it's that time of the year where there's that early November full moon.
Mm-hmm.
We're almost always guaranteed a warm front at that time of the year. Early November, almost always it bumps up in the 70s. And same thing happens in December. And it's just like we talked about last time. It's a risk assessment for ducks. They can sit there in a 60-degree sunshine day and not get shot, and know they can fly out right at after sunset, feed all night, nothing's going to mess with them, and then fly back to the refuge 5 minutes before shooting light, or whenever somebody goes in there with lamps and making noise and throwing decoys, and okay, well, time to go back to the refuge. Or when it's cold and they have to feed, they're like, well, it's like that movie Dazed and Confused, where the teacher's talking about Vietnam, and it's like, 50 of you is going out and only 25 of you is coming back. They know somebody's getting shot today. Hope it's not me. But they have to feed, because if they don't, they'll starve.
Yeah.
When it gets down below 40 degrees, and at night it's cold and they have to feed. And, I think there's something too, they don't want to leave their open water that they keep open, but only for a little bit of time, but they still have to feed in the warmest part of the day. I'm sure you guys see that in Oklahoma. When it gets cold, they'll come feed at 3:00 in the afternoon and not another minute before or after.
Right.
The warmest part of the day, here they come. They're going to feed for an hour, and then they're back on there before it's dark out. Because they have to keep that open water.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting stuff.
We haven't had cold weather, so
no. And I think
we'll put it this way. Last year, the last day of the season, it was cold. We had a good last 10 days, 2 weeks were very cold. The refuge froze. The ducks got on the river. We were able to keep some open water with our heated ponds, and very little open water. But what we kept open, we hunted the last day of the season with clients. We killed 100 ducks before lunchtime. Everybody in the lodge killed their limit, and the guides were finally. We don't shoot our ducks. We don't shoot healthy ducks, just for many reasons, party hunting reasons. That's a whole other podcast. But I'm there to call ducks, clean up cripples, that's it. on the last day of the season, Tony lets us go and shoot our ducks. So 8 of us went and took turns, and in 2 hours we shot 48 ducks taking turns.
Wow.
On the last day of the season in flooded corn. So you tell me if abundance of flooded corn makes ducks nocturnal, but it was cold.
Right.
It was, so those ducks had 60 days of hunting pressure on public and on private. Literally we were 50 yards from Grand Pass when we were doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were, like I said, taking turns. We had a gentleman's hunt. We shot a full limit of mallards, and everybody shot their 2 extra ducks in 2 hours from like 2 to 4.
But the weather was right.
And
you had the cold weather, and you had what you needed.
The cold weather, yep, had what we needed. We had, and the ducks had to fly during the day, and so it was the last day of the season. So I think that whole flooded corn thing, I've heard a lot of people say, I think they should shut down flooded corn. It'll make the ducks fly. I think that's nonsense, because for one thing, we send healthier ducks down the flyway both directions, south and north.
Right.
Now, we pull the water off of our corn the day duck season closes. The last day we go around, shut the wells off, because it costs us a stupid amount of money to run all these wells on electricity or diesel or whatever we're running them on. So we go shut the wells off the last day of season. And then as long as there's no ice in the corn, I'll pull the boards the last day. Just pull them all completely and dump all the water out of the fields. Now, if there's ice, I have to do a slow drawdown, because I can't knock the corn down, because I have to run a combine through it, or else we'll battle volunteer corn in the spring. So, and generally, it warms up enough, and the stalks will, melt the ice around the stalk, and I can slowly drop the water out without knocking it down. So usually by no later than 4 or 5 days after our season goes out, all of our water is gone on our corn. Now, we will leave water in our moist soil units for, ducks to have water to when they come back through in the spring, because once again, we want to send healthy ducks to the nesting grounds. But we don't run our wells, we don't run our ice eaters, so that'll all freeze as long as it's cold enough. But everyone's like, they keep their ducks, they imprint their ducks, they this, they that. No, we don't. We do not do that, because in our eyes, we are now, as soon as duck season's over, we are looking to a farming aspect. So now we need to get it dry, need to be able to get either the ground to freeze to get a combine through it, or get it as dry as possible. So as soon as it's dried out in the spring, we can run a combine through and then start with our spring field prep. We'll have to run anhydrous, all this stuff. So it's, there's a lot of these rumors, they do this, they do that. And it's not just us, it's all of, all the flooded corn people in Missouri. But, I think back to my point with, if you outlaw flooded corn, for one thing, there's still going to be dry field corn here, and the ducks are going to stay on that as long as they can, because they're never going to stop farmers from planting corn. Mm-hmm. And all the moist soil stuff that's here, if it's warm enough to keep ducks on moist soil, they're still not going to migrate. Right. And if you're going to hunt them, look, Louisiana has a duck hunter on every piece of water. They did it to themselves. The pressure's too much. They lost all their rice farming to Arkansas. Most of the rice comes from Arkansas now. You can ask any of the Arkansas guys. They know, like a lot of those, like white oaks and all that stuff, they have their own field. They have rice and all that stuff that they let their ducks go in, and they don't mess with them out there. They hunt them in the timber. Right. And they know if you don't mess with them on the food, they'll stay flying in the daylight.
Now, when you pull the water off of your corn, do you see a lot of ducks leave?
It depends. Obviously, yes. A lot of them will leave just because they lose a food source. Mm-hmm. But like last year we were hunting, we go right into hunting honkers and specks after duck season closes. We stay hunting, we'll run some guests and all that through February 6th. Last year, hunting honkers and specks, huge flocks of mallards in the dry fields, no mojos, right, coming right in. Like you could have shot 100 mallards, no problem. Yeah. But it hadn't gotten cold enough to push them south. We had no snow. Those ducks just stayed here. Mm-hmm. We'll lose our birds on our corn, but the ag field stuff, for the most part, they stay if they can. Yeah.
People think, if we got a north wind, that birds ought to migrate. Like there are birds that will migrate with north winds. There are birds that will migrate when the calendar turns to October 15th. But the majority, the big mass of birds are only going to move when there's snow cover. And if you don't have snow cover up north and you're not covering up their food source, they're going to hunker down wherever they are.
So it's once again, it's back to that risk assessment, right? They are going to fly as far south as they have to
And not
be
any
able to
further.
keep a certain amount of body fat to be able to get back to the prairie or wherever it is they're nesting, and breed and have to be able to pass on their genes. That's all they care about. All a duck cares about is not getting eaten and breeding.
Yep.
It will be interesting if we have a winter like we had in '82. If we could have that again, I would love for that to happen anyways. But we got really cold mid-November till Christmas. I mean, really, really, really cold, like that vortex we had a couple years ago. That would be, I would love to see what would happen if things would go back the way they were in the 70s, where you couldn't, even with food, if you'd have been doing what you're doing now in 1970, 71, 72, and 73, those ducks that are, a bunch of those ducks y'all have would be in Louisiana because it stayed cold.
Or wherever.
Yeah.
Wherever it would be at. And if we just
Louisiana lost a big food source.
No,
That's
but
Louisiana's
but they
problem.
would go south is what I'm saying. The birds would have to migrate south because they had snow, covered up their food. There wasn't a lot of open water, and the food was covered up. That's the key to the whole deal. And if we ever have that
I'm here
again,
to tell you right now, if Arkansas got cold snow and all that stuff, they'd either lose them to the south or a bunch of them would die.
yeah, I mean it's just going to happen, and they're going to leave. Those ducks are adaptive. They're going to move. They may fly west, they may fly east. Them fuckers might end up in Miami Beach, Florida. I mean, if it's that cold, but they're going to go where they need to go.
That's right. And honestly, we want cold weather, but I don't want a foot of snow.
Right.
I don't, because I know we get a foot of snow here that stays for any amount of time. I don't care how much open water you have. We'll hold some ducks, but we're not going to hold 200, 300, 400,000 of them.
Yeah.
And when I say we, I mean Grand Pass or the Missouri. The Missouri River will hold up to 1 million mallards in the right conditions. In this part of the world between St. Louis and Kansas City, I can't imagine how many how many hundreds of thousands, millions of ducks stay in that stretch of the Missouri River, because it's basically an agricultural bottom with open water. But if we get a foot of snow, those ducks leave. There will be a small amount that stay on open water from wells and stay on the river at Hardy. There's ducks that stay in North Dakota all winter. They'll find a standing cornfield or something like that to feed in, and they'll be in some kind of rapid in the Missouri River up there, or whatever, the Red River, and they'll stay. But for the most part, we get a measurable amount of snow. See ya. They're out of here.
Yeah.
And they may come back. Some of our best hunting is after big cold snow, and then we get a melt, a warm up. We call it a reverse migration. We have some of our best hunting on a reverse, because it's like resets the clock on those ducks that have been here for a couple weeks. They get stale. They leave to the south. Here they come back. They may only go to the Boot Heel, or they may only go to Jonesboro, but they're coming back because they know, once again, the fastest they can get to that breeding grounds in the best condition they can be in, the first nesting attempt they can get on the ground, that gives them time to, if they hatch their first nest, then those ducklings will be bigger and healthier for the fall flight than if they had a second or third nesting attempt. And also, if they get there early enough to attempt a first nest in April, that one fails, now they've got time for a May nest. If that one fails, they got time for a June nest. Mallards will nest up to 3, sometimes even 4 times. And like, I can't remember if we talked about this last time or not, but if you think about a hen mallard, I think a mallard gestation period is like 27, 28 days. It might be a little bit shorter than that, but I know a Canada goose is 28 days. So let's just take a Canada goose, for example. Let's say they have 7 eggs in their clutch. They lay 1 egg every day and a half, right? So they start their nest on April 1st. They're going to lay, let's just say for math's sake, 10 eggs. That's 15 days of egg laying. So that's April 1st to April 15th they're laying. So now they're incubating from April 15th until, so 28 days later would be like what, May 13th?
Yes, right around there, approximately.
So from the time the first egg hits the ground until those goslings hatch is
6
what,
weeks.
48 days?
Yeah, 6-7 weeks.
And now part of the reason why Canada geese are so successful is because they're aggressive towards nest predators.
Risks, yes.
But a hen mallard is not. She's not going to fight anything off. So her nest that's on the ground for 48 days or 45 days, whatever it may be, that doesn't get found by a raccoon, a possum, a coyote, a fox, a vulture, a raven, a blue jay, a black rat snake, a house cat, literally everything eats duck eggs. and she actually hatches that brood. That's miracle number one. Miracle number two is there's enough water somewhere for her to get those ducklings to the water, because mallards are upland nesting birds, so they might nest as far as a mile away from any water body. They get those ducks to the water. Okay, that's miracle two, that they didn't run into something that eats all the ducklings, or a road they have to cross, or something like that. I don't know if you guys saw that video of there's a hen mallard crossing a brood across the parking lot, and one of the babies falls down in the storm drain.
I think I have seen that.
And then she goes back, and all the rest of them fall down in the storm drain.
Yeah.
Had there not been some people there to find those, she just lost her entire clutch in one swoop.
Right.
And she just wasted 60 days of energy of nesting and hatching and all that. So what I'm getting at is the simple fact that we have any ducks at all is a miracle, because the odds are stacked so heavily against a hen mallard, or any female ground nesting bird for that matter, bobwhite quail, hen mallard, hen turkey, bobolink, whatever it is. The odds are stacked so far against those birds that the fact that we have as many as we do is a miracle. And it is credited to, if it wasn't for duck hunters, there'd be no ducks. Because we're the only people who give a dang about a duck. So we're the only people that support organizations like Ducks Unlimited or Delta, or, give any reason for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to have the refuge system and all that, because the entire wildlife refuge system is paid for by duck stamps and Pittman Robertson money, that tax on hunting licenses. And if it wasn't for duck hunters, there'd be any ducks, any geese, anything anymore, because farmers, we're farmers too, right? But all they want to do is they want to till as much ground as they can and plant as much ground as they can, because they got to pay their bills and they got to feed their family. If there was no reason for anyone to leave potholes alone, or to conserve grasslands in the prairie pothole region, there'd be none left. It'd all be row crop.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of stuff like that. You talk to people who don't duck hunt, or don't, they think, oh, it's cruel or whatever. Well, especially there's this new breed of what they call conservation biologists, right? They're these people that are like the bird watchers of the world, or the people who want to get a master's degree in grasshoppers and don't support hunting. And it's like, last time I checked, if you work for a state agency or the federal government, your paycheck is paid by hunters and fishermen. So, I'm all for, I have a degree in wildlife management, right? I have done all the songbird stuff and this, entomology, all that stuff. And I get it. That little woolly bear caterpillar has just as much right to climb up that tree as, a white-tailed deer does to walk through these woods. But that white-tailed deer is going to raise so much money from the people that want to come to the state of Missouri and shoot that white-tailed deer.
Right.
And that's going to provide habitat for that little woolly bear caterpillar. So the people that, are like, oh, I don't support hunting, but I support wildlife conservation. Well, you may want to rethink that.
It's kind of like the college football versus like college volleyball. Like if it weren't for football, fuck your badminton or whatever. Like you need to be on your hands and knees thanking the football team for bringing the resources to the college to where they can, branch out and have this badminton class or this badminton team or bowling.
If I had to guess, the University of Alabama has a crew team, a rowing team.
Yes, yeah, probably.
And there's probably about 8 people in the state of Alabama who care one bit about rowing.
Right. Yeah. They get all their money from
everybody there cares.
Roll Tide.
They care about football.
Yep.
Right. But because they have enough money, they have that budget, they can have a crew team at Alabama.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's exactly the same thing. It's like, sometimes you shouldn't look the gift horse in the mouth when it comes to things like that.
Well, and you guys are vilified for flooding corn and all that, but nobody looks at how many ducks you're feeding and how many, like you said, you're sending healthy ducks north and south based off of the farming practices that you guys employ there.
We keep track of our harvest numbers and all that. And last year, my lodge, we killed like 3,000 ducks in the 60-day season. We killed the first 1,000 in the first half of the season and the 2,000 the second half.
Yeah.
We probably fed, I don't know, 300,000.
Right. Yeah.
So we killed 1% of the ducks that used our property.
Yep.
And they didn't spend a whole winter here. They move on. And then when they come back through in the springtime, like even right now, our moist soil units that are filled up with water for teal, there's, I don't even know how many species of marsh birds and rails and egrets and everything in those marshes that, you know, like we talked about, as dry as it is, that water wouldn't be there if it wasn't for us duck hunting. There would be every single rail that, you know, some people like to go out and shoot rails, but there's so many of them in our marshes right now because we have the only water. There's no natural water right now besides the rivers and all that. There's no natural flooded marshes anywhere. You know, so the only reason that water's there is because people are paying us to come here and shoot teal.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, listen, we appreciate your time. You got to get that tractor cranked up. How's Cooper and them doing in Canada before we let you go? How's Canada going?
I think it's going pretty good. Every time, I mean, they're busy, you know, they're on the road scouting or they're hunting or whatever, but I see on, you know, Snapchat and Facebook every day there seems to be a gigantic pile of ducks and getting to be some snow geese. And I heard the snow goose hatch in the eastern part of the Arctic was good. So hopefully they start seeing more of them. And I know that they've been shooting honkers, and I think they've shot some cranes. I think it's been kind of rainy, and crane hunting in the rain is no good in Canada.
No, I don't think it's good anywhere.
Which I'm sure it's probably the same down there. Yeah, they just stay out in the field all day. But it seems like everybody in Canada is having a pretty good year. So hopefully that continues on, and the ducks make their way to the U.S.
Well,
it's going to be an interesting year.
Tell Matt I appreciate the meal at Jack's and Sodas Point, and I look forward to seeing you again, my friend. Take care of yourself. God bless you, bud. Have a good season.
You guys have a safe fall. We'll see you later.
Right,
See you,
thank
bud.
you.
Bye.
Arliss, good guy. Good,
He is a good dude.
Good story.
Glad he changed his life for the better.
Yep. Been really good. All right. Thank y'all for listening to us. God bless y'all. Have a good week. This comes out on Wednesday. Got Douglas Spell going to be on at the end of the week, and our football pick'em. Thank y'all for listening.
Go check out Alpha Outdoor Specialties, Bangtail Whiskey, Stanfield Hunting Outfitters, Dirty Duck Coffee, Ducks Unlimited, Double T British Kennels, Looking Glass Podcast, Boss Shot Shells, Dive Bomb Industries, Pacific Calls, Shin Gear Waders, and Gundog Outdoors.